Okay, but it already happened.
Sir, ready?
Thank you again for coming back to us. We are live back on streaming, on internet, and we appreciate you listening. We've had lunch. It is a little after 1, and we are going to finish up our budget. Then we have our special guest here today to discuss the Wayne County Board of Education and schools in our county. We have extensively studied our budget. We appreciate again the staff, all the work, the meetings that we have. Mr. Smith has passed out to us. He's taken his time through the lunch period to, after much discussion, Attachment A, the budget ordinance for 2013-14. And Mr. Smith, because of the change, I'd like you to go back and highlight some of these areas.
Yes, sir.
Save us the time here and making mistakes, and
Okay.
have you to do that for us.
Basically, we have adjusted the rate. We had put in a contingency, Pam, of 650. What was the last amount?
50,000 before today.
Yep. And the adjusted figure today was, I just want to make sure, I just want to give you that number because these were the adjustments. I've got 62709, is that right? I didn't want to quote that because I know you guys verified it, so. Quote Pam Cookie on there. Off the top of my head.
62709.
Pamlico County does have a good education system. So we actually adjusted based on the board's input, a number of items of the last few days of $620,709, and have adjusted the rate as such. And the budget ordinance, which will go in your final printed document or budget, it would set the 13-14 tax rate at 66.65 of $100 of assessed valuation. And then your follow through, all these other items on valuation would stay the same. Going to the second page of the ordinance, you see that New Hope, their rate changes to 6 cents, and I believe it was right at 5.4 or 5.5 was adjusted. Rosewood goes from 4.52, they had one of the lower rates, went to, requested to 5.52. Mr. Chairman, we did, under the third page, do something a little bit different. When we list education, we do list current expense amount of $18.87994 million. We then we list the total current expense at $18.1 million, Edgewood School at $587,000. And then we list WISH, which is an associated education cost. We also list the $110,000 that is done, allocated for the pre-K mobile bus and teachers, $130,000 allocated for project graduation through communities and schools. County also funds 7 resource officers at a cost of $392,236, of which $210,000 is reimbursed from schools through a grant. Additional costs related to school resource officers are budgeted in the Sheriff's Department. 30% of the proceeds of the 1983 sales tax and 60% of the 86 sales tax are set aside in a reserve fund for capital to pay for debt service on existing school construction bonds. Total of $2 million is being appropriated for capital outlay. All capital project invoices shall be submitted to the county finance office for payment. So we included that. It's a little bit different. We included everything related to education this year. No other major changes in the ordinance since the one we handed you last week. The only thing in the we did under, let's see, that would be 1, 2, I guess it would be page 13 in this document, you'll see it. We did add increased dependent coverage premiums by 10% effective July 1st. So that is a change for this coming year. In the, and then everything else is the same. In the fee schedule itself, the only changes, Janice, what page is that on?
Page 13.
13, okay. Page 13 in the fee schedule. It was the food establishment. If you'll look down close to the end, it says late fee for temporary food establishments. Mr. Daugherty may remember that. That was by this, but their schedule is not over here yet, but in order to get that effective by law, we went ahead and put it in our schedule. So that is established. The only other change is the solid waste fee, tipping fee. That is for any person crossing the scales on items to be charged would go from $30 per ton to $31.50 per ton. And those are all of the changes. Everything else is the same.
Mr. Smith, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Get rid of it.
Mr. Pate?
Thank you. We move so quickly sometimes. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pate.
I move to adopt the Wayne County 2013-2014 fiscal year budget with a tax rate of .6665 per $100 valuation and the fire district taxes as we have discussed and approved. This budget includes all the changes that have been approved as modified on June 24 and June 25, 2013.
Motion's been made to accept the budget. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bell?
Mr. Chairman, board members, the comments that I'm going to make is not for the purpose of debate, because I don't think we should, as commissioners, be debating each other when we have a difference of opinion. I'm going to put my position on the floor, and it's up to each one of the commissioners to make their decision and put their position on the floor. I cannot, in good faith, vote for this particular budget. This is my 13th budget, and I think over the past 10, 12 years, we have done a pretty good job in keeping Wayne County position pretty solid. And some of the cuts that we have made, I think is unnecessary, and in a sense, is unethical, in my opinion. And this is my position, Mr. Daugherty. So this is not the first time somebody had voted against a budget, because I remember some of my fellow commissioners never voted for a budget that we put on the floor. So I'm not trying to copy anybody, and I'm not trying to do like some of my counterparts did last year. But I'm just making a decision based on my knowledge and understanding of the budget process. I do not agree with this budget, so therefore I will vote against it. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Mr. Cromartie?
My first time being involved in this process, Mr. Chairman. I thought that there would be a public hearing before we were asked to vote on this. I thought there would be a public hearing or public comments time before we were asked to vote on it. Is that not?
You've already had the public hearing.
The whole public hearing was last week, or
That was what?
that was the
That
public
was the
hearing,
public hearing.
The hearing based on the recommended budget.
based on the recommended budget, but not this final product we've come up with.
The law does not require a substitute.
The law does not require that.
No, sir.
No.
Prior to us doing the vote, I would also like to make a comment that I find it disturbs me that we have made cuts that appear to be for the sake of looking at a line item and deciding that there's some money there, so let's go down to this amount. I've never been involved in a process where it looked like the dollar figure controlled what you were going to do rather than the purpose for which you were going to do it. I find it disturbing that there's no place in this budget for folk to get a cost of living raise. And unless I miss something coming from the school system that was been put in front of us, I don't see anything in theirs for cost of living raise. And that I find disturbing. And I stand to ask this question to the public. Is anybody concerned about that? And if not, why? And if yes, why haven't we heard from someone? You know, I just stand in wonderment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Any others? Mr. Aycock.
Yes, this is my first budget also. We've had to make some tough decisions. Just hope that we've made the right decisions. But I felt like that it was necessary that we had to adjust some of the figures that we did adjust. And I think everything that we've done was for the betterment of Wayne County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Daughtery.
I think everyone on this board has got a good heart. And I think everybody has acted ethical in regards to the discussions and the decisions made. I would never question someone's ethics. And I take offense to that. But needless to say, what I see in this budget is a lot of hard effort of going through line item, of trying to find a way to reduce the cost and reduce our budget so that we can reduce our tax rate. Now, we see in the newspaper that only amounts to $27 a year. That's all it is. Well, let me say, I beg to differ. It's a great deal more than $27 a year. The tax rate affects businesses in our community. And that tax rate has a great deal to do with what the costs are to businesses to bring employment and jobs to our community. That tax rate affects your vehicle taxes, your home, the businesses, not their inventories, but all of their machinery and equipment that they have, along with their vehicles. So it makes a tremendous difference in a business climate that we bring about here in Wayne County to bring jobs here to Wayne County. Tax rates are important. What does this budget represent? First of all, let me say this. Before we see in the newspaper that the sky is falling on Wayne County, this is a little bit over 1% of its total budget. 1%. Now, that's not a dramatic decrease. We just saw our federal government encounter a much, much larger percentage on their budget. So this budget, I think, was fair. It does, in fact, reduce expenses. It does, in fact, bring about, in my estimation, a much better economic climate for Wayne County. I wish we could have found more. And the county manager and I disagree somewhat, because I feel like that the county manager should have been a little bit more aggressive on the front end. But there again, he and I have dialogue, and I think we've come with a fair compromise. What this does is also maintain our current level of employment. There were no positions that were taken, to my knowledge, so all the positions have been protected. It is instilled in our county departments the concept of finding ways to truly find ways to reduce their expenses. And I think that's it kind of brings about a fresh air, so that county departments recognize that we're all in this together, and we've got to find ways to do more with less. I feel very good about the budget. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments? There are no other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayo?
this is my second budget, and there's a couple things that I've learned. Number one is that in spite of what has been reported in some cases, I think there's 3 or 4 of us that are business people sitting here on this commission board, and in spite of what some reports have said, private business owners have some input as to how county government works. The principles that we use in running a small to medium-sized business or large corporation. A lot of these principles are good for our government. And the people of Wayne County said that in the last election. So when I look at this 1%, I agree with Commissioner Daugherty. When we look at this 1%, what we're sending a message in the fact that we are conservative in what we're spending. We're watching our dollars the same way that business has to do when it comes to Wayne County to survive. That sends a message for economic development. That gives a good feeling to potential businesses that want to move into Wayne County. If we keep our house in order, then we're going to be able to help them keep their house in order when they move to this county. Bottom line is that the purpose of this budget and everything that we're doing, ultimately, our goal is to create jobs and put people back to work. If we can do that over the next 2 to 3 years, when we come back for a budget session in 2 or 3 years, we won't have a lot of these issues that we're looking at right now. Revenue is what generates everything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Mayo. The only comments I have is that in 2012, in November, there was a new board, basically, and in January, when we started to work, Mr. Bell and myself and Mr. Mayo basically were the only 3 that were on top of a budget that was in process since June 30. And as we moved each week, it was evident that it was becoming quite difficult at times to explain the way that monies were spent. And as the county manager and the county finance director was getting information to us, John was having to maybe having some conversation with Joe and Ed. You were not here yet. It was Mr. J.D.'s seat, and it was I guess it was difficult. And for you fellows here from out of town, we've got 7 that were elected. 4 of us had never laid eyes on a budget from the county. And for all of us to be here today and to have vote on this budget today and to go what we've gone through with all of the work, and I'm talking about hours and hours and hours and hours. And there are those who will say that we have, again, micromanaged and try to get into other people's business. But unless we go, we don't know. And there's a lot of people who've been critical of us who don't know. They think they know, but they don't know. And the reason they don't know is because they don't go. But we have been here over and over and been through this process. And Marcia has been here over almost 30 years, and she told me the other day, she said, you know, I've actually learned some things here in the last 6 months that I really just didn't know. She said, I've been to so many meetings, but there's just things that have come out that have just been enlightening. And that made me feel good. It made me feel like I've been doing my job as chairman with a fire hose instead of a water hose to get all of this to this day, to this point. Whether we vote for it or against it, we've all worked hard. We've all worked hard. All 7 of us have worked hard, and we've put our heart in it. That's my comments, and I appreciate that. All the comments have been made. Motion's on the floor that we approve the 2013-14 budget. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Mr. Chairman.
1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? There's 6 for, 1 against. Mr. Bell. Mr. Kamari.
I was just wondering if there was a time for an amendment to be in motion, amendment opportunity, but if not, that's what I was calling for, an amendment to the
Vote has been called for. Vote has been called for. Now,